Now, sometimes you are all fired up and ready to fling things, but other times you know you should do it, but bleh, like the rest of my garage right now. So for those times, here is how to get motivated to declutter. Let's go. Hi guys, it's Laura and I help you live a simpler, happier, more spacious life. And I think the first thing you need to do when it comes to being motivated to declutter is to figure out why you are currently not motivated. What exactly is it that is holding you back? Maybe it is a big task, so you're feeling overwhelmed by it. Maybe you are worried that you won't be able to let go of a lot of stuff, so that's causing some anxiety, some friction. It could be that the stuff is in an awkward spot and the thoughts of like going in there is just too much for you right now. So many possible reasons why you might be procrastinating on decluttering, but when you identify what the real reason is, that is a big step towards finding the solution to that problem. If you don't know what you're up against, it's so much harder to defeat it. Another thing then that is going to be so helpful for you is to figure out which space or which category of items you are going to be tackling next. Take as much of the uncertainty and the guesswork out of it as possible, because you probably know yourself, when you have a few spare minutes, a few unexpected spare minutes, you want to be able to dive into a task as quickly as possible and not waste that time wondering what you should be doing. When you don't know where to begin, it's so much harder to get started. But when you have a clear plan in your mind, a clear objective, that makes it easier to get the ball rolling. You know which direction you're facing and what your destination is. So much better than just wandering around aimlessly. Now, speaking of all of those reasons why you might be putting off decluttering, one of the biggest for me is that I feel like a space is just going to be too big to tackle. Is very overwhelming, particularly if I am planning to record my decluttering progress. I just know it's going to be a big task. I know it's going to take a lot of time. So in that situation, what I do and what will be really helpful for you, particularly if it is a big task, is, and it sounds obvious, but it is to break it down, make it much smaller and more manageable. And you can break it down in so many different ways. You could say to yourself, okay, I'm just going to focus on this one cupboard or this one shelf or this one drawer. That's one way to do it. Another way is to say, okay, I am going to spend X amount of time on it and then I'm going to stop regardless of where I am. So 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and that's it. I'm going to dive in, get as much done as I can in that time, and then that's it. I'm going to allow myself to take a break. Or another way to do it is to pick a specific number of items that you are going to go through. So I'm going to tackle 5 books or 10 books or 20 pieces of paper, something like that. Really break it down, and that's what's going to help you to get to grips with it. And over time, you can still complete the entire job, but you'll be much more likely to dive in if you know that you don't have to tackle the entire thing in one go. Another great thing to do then, this is so motivating, that is to look at previous before and after pictures that you have taken. I always recommend that you take before and after pictures. And sometimes I know, yes, you dive into a task and you forget to take your before pictures. It happens to me all of the time. But if you do have some, look at those, see the progress that you have already made. Or even if you don't have photographs, just kind of imagine, think back to how your space used to look and how it looks now. Show yourself what is possible, what you can achieve if you just kind of put your mind to it and get stuck in and get the job done. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a decluttering job. I'm sure you can think of plenty of examples where something needed doing and you just got stuck in, you figured it all out, you fixed it, and then afterwards you were richly rewarded. So looking back at past successes can really motivate you to want to get a future success. And again, take those before photos and get excited for what the after will look like. And listen, I know that it's really easy to feel that you just can't do something that is just beyond your skill level, your energy levels. It is just beyond your motivation. It's something that you don't feel that you're going to be able to achieve. Or if you're a perfectionist like me, maybe you feel that you can achieve something, but it's just never going to be quite the standard that you want. Or it's just going to be too hard. You know, we've all felt that way, where you're just looking at something and you're just thinking, no, I'm not in that headspace right now. But like I said, looking at your before and after pictures or thinking back over previous successes is what is going to make you feel like, you know what, I can actually achieve something. Look back at those times where you didn't want to do something, but you sucked it up and you did it anyway and you felt great afterwards. There is plenty of evidence in your life, I'm sure, that will show you that even during those times when you didn't want to do something, when you felt like it might be too hard or just kind of beyond you, you still got it done. Think back to how great you felt then and know that you are going to feel great in the future when you get this particular task done. Think of all the benefits you will reap. Ask yourself, you know, how is this going to make my life easier? How is it going to make me feel better? What mental burden will it lift? And it may just be the burden of feeling like you can't do it. Or it could be a particular drawer that is frustrating you on a daily basis. Maybe it keeps getting stuck because there's so much in there. Maybe you're clearing out your closet because mornings are very frustrated because you don't know what to wear. You have plenty of clothes, but you keep skipping over things, and it's just a really irritating process. So imagine how much easier your life will be, how much better you are going to feel if you just spend even a few minutes getting this job done. Imagine what it will do for your health, and that is in both senses of the word, like your mental health, relieving that burden of feeling like you can't do it, or relieving the burden of just the stress and anxiety that that particular space causes you on a regular basis, but also your physical health. When you clear things out, maybe you are clearing out a lot of dust as well, so you are clearing the air. Maybe you are just removing an obstacle, something that might be a tripping hazard. There are so many different ways that decluttering can have a positive impact on your mental and physical health and well-being. And also think of the confidence that you are going to feel afterwards, with that sense of achievement, that sense of accomplishment, that you can do it, that you have done it in the past, you can do it right now, and you will do it again. And what about that reason where you think, you know what, I'm probably not going to be able to let go of anything here? Maybe you've gone through this particular category of items or that particular space in the past and it didn't seem to make that much of a difference. Maybe it is sentimental stuff and you just don't feel like you will be able to part with something. Again, go back and ask yourself, did I struggle with letting go of something else, or did I struggle with some particular task in the past, and did I still do it? Did I still achieve something? Was I still able to let something go and move on? But I also want you to remember, and this is so important, you do not have to get rid of anything. Decluttering doesn't force you to get rid of anything. All it does is you go through your stuff and you decide whether or not this is something that is adding value to your life, whether it is, you know, having a positive impact on your home, on your environment, on your health and well-being. And if you go through things and there is nothing there for you to declutter, you know, everything is something that you want, that's still great. You know, maybe you had a lovely trip down memory lane, you know, just remembering back over things. But it's wonderful to actually realize that the stuff that you have is indeed stuff that you love and stuff that you want to keep. You are not obliged to part with anything. You know, worst case scenario, you don't get rid of anything, but you have spent time with stuff that you love, and maybe you have tidied it up a little bit and just kind of really appreciated it for what it is. Even if you get rid of a nothing, it is still time well spent. And what if it's in an awkward spot? You know, it's in a dusty garage, it's in a dark attic or a damp basement or something like that, and you just can't face going into those spaces and spending time rooting through boxes and, you know, coming up against spiders and stuff like that. Remember that you don't have to stay in that space. You can go in, you can grab a box or whatever it may be and take it out of that space and bring it somewhere more comfortable. You don't have to be confined by the space that it's in or by the conditions that it's in. Even if you can't necessarily bring it out of that space or you don't want to drag it out of that space, bring in a comfortable chair, bring in a lamp, make it as easy and as cozy on yourself as possible. Just make it that much brighter, that much better. Take the awkwardness out of it. Like, why is it awkward? Again, getting to the root of the problem. Is it because it's dark? Bring some light in. Is it because it's uncomfortable? Bring that chair in. Whatever you need to do to make that space less awful and less daunting. But like I said, you can always just take it out of that space if you can and bring it somewhere else. You do not have to stay there. Another great way then to get motivated to declutter is to not have it be a big thing, not have it be a big deal, but just fit it into your normal everyday life as you are going about your normal routines and your regular habits. Have decluttering be a part of that. As soon as you spot something that you no longer want or need, pop it straight into a donation box or pop it straight into the bin if that's where it needs to go. Do a little bit of decluttering during an ad break or while you are waiting for your dinner to cook or something like that. But make it as easy and as seamless as possible. Just fit it into your day in such a natural way. That way you will barely even notice that you're doing it. You won't have to build up this huge bank of motivation. It will just be part of your normal day. As soon as you have a minute to yourself or as soon as you spot something that you no longer need, that is the time to deal with it. You don't have to make a big session out of it. It doesn't have to be a big thing, a big task that you tackle all in one big chunk. Just do it as part of your normal day. Commit to getting rid of something as soon as you see that it's a problem, as soon as you see that you no longer love or use it. And anytime you have a few spare minutes, again, having a space that you know you want to tackle will mean that when those minutes do crop up, you can immediately dive in and just get rid of some things. You don't have to save everything up for a big decluttering session. Slow and steady will still win the race. This next one is also going to have a huge impact on your motivation, and that is to get everything ready in advance. Make sure that you have everything at hand that you will need. It's like that situation where you may not want to exercise, for instance, but when you've got all the gear on, it's easier to get out the door. Or you may not want to cook a meal, but once the decision is made for what you're going to cook and once all the ingredients are out, it's just natural and normal and easy to start cooking. So get your boxes, get your bags, get your shredder, whatever you need on hand to complete the task. And once all of that stuff is lined up and ready to go, it's much more likely that you are going to continue. If you have a box of stuff that you've been meaning to go through, then maybe leave it beside the couch so that while you're watching TV or when an ad break comes on, you can easily just kind of start picking through that stuff. Make that initial hurdle as easy as possible to overcome, and that is what is going to help you build up that momentum so that then you can keep going. Now, this next one doesn't sound sexy, but if you are really struggling to fit decluttering into your day, or you're really struggling to find the motivation to declutter, then schedule it. I know that doesn't sound very appealing, but when you make an appointment, you are setting aside specific time for decluttering. It's like anything. If you kind of wait until there is leftover time, if you're waiting until you get everything else done before you tackle something else, it's just never going to happen. There are too many things that call for our attention on a daily basis. But when something is, in your planner, when it's on your schedule, when you have that appointment set with yourself, you just show up regardless of whether you are motivated or not. If you have an appointment with your doctor, you don't think, I really don't want to go to the doctor today, so I'm just not going to show up, or I'll show up, at the end of the day whenever I've got everything else done, if there's some time left over. No, you have the appointment, you've made the appointment, and you're just there. That's just the way it is. And it doesn't have to be an hour-long appointment or anything. It could just be something as simple as, after dinner each day, or Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm going to spend 5 to 10 minutes tidying up or decluttering a specific space. I'm going to, start in this corner, and then each evening or every time I have those 5 minutes, every time I have that kind of little appointment with myself, I'm going to just move around the room, whatever it takes. But have that kind of standing appointment, or get yourself into the habit of doing it on a regular basis. And that way you won't even need the motivation. As soon as 7 p.m. rolls around, that's your decluttering time. And again, having a specific task. So before I kind of wind down for the night, I am going to go through my phone and I'm going to delete 5 photographs that I no longer want. Or each Sunday afternoon, I am going to sit down with, a bottle of water or whatever your preferred beverage is, and I'm going to work through 10 pieces of paper from my filing cabinet. Build that routine into your normal week. It is going to help you keep on top of things, but it's going to make it so that you just do it. It becomes routine, it becomes habit. You do it without even thinking. Because listen, that is the real trick to all of this and to pretty much anything that you do. It's realizing that you don't actually need motivation in order to get something done. You do not have to want to do something to still go and do it. It can still get ticked off your list regardless of whether you wanted to do it or not. This is something that used to get me to the gym all those times when I didn't want to go, or just get me out the door running all those times that I didn't want to go. When you first think, oh, but I don't want to, you realize that you don't have to want to do it. You can still get it done. Unfortunately, motivation is one of those things that often appears after you have done something. Once you have built up that momentum, that's why I'm saying make that kind of starting hurdle as easy to clear as possible, because that's when the motivation is likely to kick in, and that might keep you going. But to get you off that starting block, make it as easy as possible, but know that you don't need motivation to get yourself moving. And once you are then moving, it is momentum, and possibly motivation then will kick in, and that will carry you through. But you really do not need motivation at the outset to still start your journey. And listen, let's be honest, it never hurts to have a little reward planned for yourself. Give yourself a small task to do, and when you achieve it, have your reward, whatever that may be. It might be, scrolling through Instagram. It could be watching a new episode of your favorite show. It could be, eating a delicious treat, or it could be phoning a friend. There are so many things that you can do to reward yourself for a job well done. What do you do to motivate yourself to declutter? Or is there a particular space or a particular category of items that always seems really easy for you? You have no problem diving in and decluttering it. And remember, if you're looking for more decluttering advice and motivation, be sure to subscribe to this channel. Also check out the description. I have loads more recommendations in there. And until next time, go raibh míle maith agaibh. Agus feici mé sibh go luath. Slán!